Hello humans, it's just Martine and welcome to the start of another 24 in 48 hour reading vlog. It's Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day from past Martine. And this weekend is the November round of Escape for 24 hosted by Rosaline and Stasia. So I will be participating because I have no other events this weekend. So this weekend works perfectly for me to attempt a 24 in 48. Absolutely no promises that I'll actually hit all 24 hours, but I am going to try and see what happens because I have so much reading I want to get done. One of the main problems here is that I have this stack of books that are due back at the library by Christmas, but I'm leaving in early December. So these books have to be returned to the library by early December. So I gotta read some of them, hopefully most of them, hopefully all of them, but not in this vlog. Regardless, let me tell you some things that I'm hoping to get read this weekend. As of right now, it's a little past noon and I haven't fully decided when I'm actually starting this. I did all the work on my to-do list this morning, so I could do more work that wasn't on my to-do list for the day, but that sounds like no fun. And since it's technically a holiday, lots of people are taking a day off and I worked all morning. So it's like, man, I should take the afternoon off. And I don't know what that means for my 24 in 48. I think it would be nice to start pretty soon because I've found more success the earlier in the day that I start compared to later, just because I have more time before I fall asleep on the first night, so I have more hours the first night. It works. Anyway, we're talking about what I want to read here. Listen, do I actually think I will finish Jades City by the end of this weekend? I'm not convinced about it. I'm currently 60 pages in, but it's a chunky adult fantasy, a genre I really usually don't read. And I'm starting to get a hang on the world building, but she's a slow one, I just have to say. I'm enjoying myself, but like slowly. And I'd love to finish this weekend, but I just don't know if my brain is able to handle that when I'm reading so much consecutively. I feel like I need to be reading simpler things. Regardless, I'm going to try to make a good chunk of progress in this. Minimum, I'd love to make it halfway. On my library app, I have Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake by Alexis Hall. We stan Alexis Hall around here. I didn't realize he had a new book coming out. Then it came out, I borrowed it. Then I realized it was the second in the series, so I had to go back, check out the first in the series, which is this one. So I want to finish that this weekend. I also want to listen to an audiobook this weekend. Specifically right now, I'm listening to Me Bryson Keller. I'm having a good time. It did throw me off at first because the narrator of this one is one of the narrators from The Charm Offensive. I just recently read The Charm Offensive, I think only 2 audiobooks ago. So it's really scrambling my brain a little bit. It is what it is and I'm having a good time with it. So those 3 things are like my main reading goals. I also have to do my 75 hard reading challenge on each of these days, things like that. So we'll see what we get up to, but I'm thinking, you know, mayhaps we do a 1 p.m. start time. I'm gonna go into Bookly and set this whole readathon thing up for it to track hours for me and things. Starting at 1, we'll say, and we'll just see where this weekend reading vlog takes us. I am officially going to start at 1. I'm going to start with my 75 hard reading challenge books for the day because that's technically still my to-do list, so I can cross that off, and then I'll probably be shifting my focus to Jades City for a bit because I want to read at least 100 pages of it today. That's on that. I'm super excited to get started and just have a reading weekend. I'm so excited. I feel like I've barely read this week, which is not true, but that's just how I feel. And then I didn't really get to read last weekend, so like I'm stoked. I'm so stoked to read all weekend. I'm so excited. It's 7:30 p.m. and I've officially passed the 6-hour mark of reading. Hooray. Okay, back to it. Good morning. It's approaching 10 o'clock. I figured now was as good of a time as any to fill you in on what's been happening because I just ran some errands and I'm walking back to my dorm now. If you ever want to limit how much you pick up and pay for it in the store, I highly recommend finding yourself in a situation in which you have to carry all of it back. On my way there, actually inconveniently early on my walk there, because I couldn't read anything else afterwards, I finished Me Bryson Keller, and I'm giving this 4 stars. Now, I felt a little weird about reviewing this ever since I went on Goodreads yesterday to look at it and saw that there had been some controversy surrounding it. Before I say anything on that, I just want to say I don't know enough about the situation to really speak to it. There are probably things that I'm missing. Sorry for the sounds of the fountain in the background. So originally I was like, oh, maybe I won't rate this, but here's the thing. Everybody was saying like, oh, the author blatantly plagiarized this one manga and gave no credit to it. And then when I got to the author's note, he did credit it. So that was confusing, and he credited lots of other people. Because here's the thing, it's very rare for art to be completely original. Art is made up of everything that we take in our daily lives, the experiences that we've had, and consuming other art is going to influence your art. So I think saying that he blatantly plagiarized this manga was a little unfair, because he took a plot setup and ran with it in his own context with his own voices, views, and experiences attached. The controversy is a little confusing. I guess he had made an author statement where, like, in response to people saying he had plagiarized, like, some people didn't like. I haven't read it, I couldn't find it, I tried to. So know that I'm giving you that information without that context that was provided. Yeah, overall, I gave this a 4-star. At one point, I thought it would be a 5-star, but then the pacing got a little wonky in the middle and towards the end. The basic idea of this, which was blatantly plagiarized from a manga, is that there's this guy, he goes to school with this popular guy, Bryson Keller, and Bryson Keller has agreed to this dare where at the beginning of every week, as soon as he gets to school, whoever is the first to ask him out, he will date them for that week. And our main character does it because he's frankly quite mad at Bryson Keller for something, and it's the first time a guy has asked him this, and the main character of the story is not out, so then it provides this whole new dimension. I have to say, so Alice Oseman reviewed this book and said that fans of Heartstopper would like it, and I completely agree, especially because Bryson Keller, not fully, but in some ways gave me like Nick Nelson energy, because he was like a very popular athlete, but even before he met the main character, he was like nice and thoughtful and a Gryffindor. He just had like Nick Nelson energy, and there were some scenes that I thought like mirrored some scenes in Heartstopper. But again, no art is completely original. I had a fun time with that. Now I gotta figure out where I am because I am lost. So I'll talk to you later. It's 10:30 and I just finished Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake by Alexis Hall. Alexis Hall does it again. I cackled reading this book. I hated the characters I was supposed to hate. I loved the characters I was supposed to love. I'm giving this 4 stars. I do feel like it read like a bit slowly to me, and I didn't like this main character as much as I've liked some of Alexis Hall's other main characters. But I love the premise, because the premise is that you're following a contestant on, it's basically the Great British Bake Off, but it's called a different name because copyright. And it just, oh, it was so, I had such a good time reading this once I got into it. So I'm excited to read the sequel, which just came out, but I already have, and is the only reason I know about the first book. And that follows a different set of contestants, but for the same baking show. So like, I'm stoked because maybe I'll like this main character better. I didn't dislike the main character of this book. There were lots of things that I really loved about her, but she wasn't like my favorite Alexis Hall main character. So yeah, that's my review. I totally forgot to mention when I was reviewing Rosaline Palmer Takes the Cake, Rosaline, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Anyway, that the real winner and star of that book was her daughter, Amelie. She was so funny and precocious and just everything. And I really meant to say that in my review, but then I forgot. So there's that. Okay, I'm almost done with Jade City, so I'm gonna get back to it. It's almost 5 p.m. and I'm shocked, but I finished Jade City by Fonda Lee. I'm giving this 4 stars, which is incredible for an adult fantasy book for me. I typically don't read adult fantasy because it's really confusing, blah, 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 blah. I have to say, for a good while in the beginning, I was confused, trying to get my bearings in the world, but I happened to read that beginning when I was like open to paying attention to that. And once I was like, in the world is fine. The world building in this is truly incredible. I loved that there were not many fight scenes in this at all, and when they were, I could still follow along with them pretty much, which was incredible for me. I cared about the characters, although I could have cared about them more, and there are some characters I liked more than others. I'm totally down to continue the series. There are particularly some characters that like I want to see what happens as their specific subplot unfolds. Like Andon is his name. I really liked him as a character. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool magic system. It wasn't that hard to keep track of what was going on. It was also largely political, which if I'm going to read fantasy, I want it to be political instead of like adventure-y. So I enjoyed that part of it. And also it's green, which is my favorite color. So all in all, this was like a big success, and I'm happy about that because I know it's a really popular series, and I was scared to give a try to a book this big, but I'm glad I did because I had a good time, and I'm pretty sure my library has a second book, so I won't be getting to it soon, but hooray. Also, as a time update, I'm 15.6 hours into reading, which is maybe not where I would want to be. I took a bit of a break this afternoon because I was really tired of reading, and I never want to do a challenge like this and then hate reading after. So I took a bit of a break, but then I obviously got back into it because I finished this book. But 15.6 hours, really great so far for the weekend, and we'll keep it going tonight and see what we can do, and maybe we'll be able to finish it tomorrow before the end of the time. I have my doubts, but we'll see. We can try. I just want to document the fact that it's like yellow outside. Like the sun has set. I don't know what's happening. She's stormy. Okay, it's approaching 6:30 p.m. and I just finished Kill the Boy Band by Goldie Moldavsky. And I'm giving this 3.5 stars. This was insane from start to finish. The basic premise is you take this group of 4 fangirl teenagers and you have them kidnap a member of a boy band, and then things go from there, and it was just a wild time. It was so interesting. I felt like all the characters were so distinct, even though, okay, so the boy band in this story, they were called the Ruperts, and that's because they were all named Rupert. And I even think by the end I like knew the difference between the Ruperts, which I think is miraculous because it would largely refer to them by the first letter of their last name. So like Rupert P, Rupert X, Rupert L. I'm like, I have a pretty good handle on which Rupert was which. And at first I was like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna keep these Ruperts apart in my brain. Like there's absolutely no way. I feel like I did, which is miraculous. Like the characters were just so distinct. So this was, what a goofy concept this was. Yeah, and the ending was like, what? So I had a really fun time reading this. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this book. I just randomly saw it on my library app, and I was like, the audiobook's only 7 hours. I could totally read this today. So I did, and it was like, so random. All right, it's almost 7 p.m. and I just finished Futureland Battle for the Park. Is it by H.D. Hunter? Something like that. Anyway, I technically got approved for an arc of this on NetGalley, but I didn't get approved for it until after the book was already out because I'm pretty sure it came out like November 8th. Anyway, it's a middle grade book about this kid whose parents own this amusement park, like a theme park, except that it's like in the sky and it can move around to different cities. So it like moves to different cities, and they go back to Atlanta, which is their home city, and they're going to be staying there with the park for like longer than the park usually stays in one place. But all of a sudden things with the park start acting weird. I gave it 3 stars. Overall, it was like a fun concept. I think the pacing and everything like dragged a little bit in the second half of the book. I think the setup for the story maybe held my attention better than the resolution of the story, but regardless, I thought it was really fun, and like the ideas that went into the particular theme park, because it's called Futureland and it was all like technology based and really cool. Like all of those ideas were really fun. Yeah. That's my review on that. It's 10 a.m. and I just hit my 24 hours. She did it. I did finish a book this morning. I finished the 3rd Rebecca Frank mystery book, 5-6 Grab Your Crucifix. I gave it 2.5 stars, which is more than I gave the first 2 books, so that's good. But I really just liked the premise of this more, and also the main character was on vacation during this one, and so she was still doing kind of investigative reporting thingies, but not as much as the last 2 books, and a lot of the things that she did in the last 2 books for her job like really annoyed me. It was nice that she was like kind of away from that, and mysteries about religious fanatics and/or cults are typically interesting, so that was the case with this one. So that's this video. If you'd like to, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. How are you doing? What's up? Are you good? And subscribe for more reading, writing, and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!